You stepped outside this morning, looked at the fence, and it was empty. Not just of food, of them. And you couldn't figure out why. You hadn't changed a thing, but they were gone. Here's what nobody tells you. Intelligent backyard wildlife doesn't leave randomly. They leave because something in your yard told them to. And most of the time, it is something you have been doing for years, thinking it was fine. Welcome back to the Squirrel Next Door. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe, because what you're about to learn will change the way you look at every wild animal that visits your yard. Today, we are going through the most common, everyday things that are silently driving squirrels away from your yard, and in some cases, away forever. These aren't obscure mistakes. These are things most backyard watchers do without a second thought. Stay until the very end, because the last one is the mistake that hits closest to home, and it's the one most people wish someone had told them sooner. Number 1, you are feeding them the wrong thing, and it is quietly harming them. Walk into any grocery store in America and you'll find bags of cheap wild animal feed on the shelf. For birds, the majority of that mix is useless filler that they will simply toss on the ground. But for squirrels, the mistake is often more dangerous. Many people feed backyard squirrels large amounts of raw peanuts or dried corn. But raw peanuts can harbor invisible fungal toxins like aflatoxin, and large amounts of corn can cause severe nutritional deficiencies that weaken their bones over time. Just as a dirty bird feeder spreads fatal respiratory diseases through a flock, an unsafe food source compromises a squirrel's survival. They are extraordinarily sensitive to the health status of a feeding site. If a territory makes them feel weak or sick, they won't understand why, but they will associate your yard with danger. They will simply stop coming altogether. Number 2, you've removed the messiness and made your yard useless. American culture values tidy yards, clipped grass, raked leaves, trimmed edges, no dead branches. For humans, a perfectly manicured yard is a sign of care and pride. For a squirrel, it is a sterile desert. Dead leaves and fallen branches are not debris. They are a layered ecosystem. Squirrels absolutely depend on those dead branches, dried leaves, and organic yard material to construct their drays, the insulated nests that keep them alive through the freezing winter. A yard where leaves are raked and disposed of within days of falling has effectively removed an entire resource system. You don't have to let your yard go completely wild, but leaving one corner unmowed or letting the leaves sit under the shrubs are the small acts of strategic untidiness that make the difference between a yard they pass through and a yard they choose to live in. Number 3, you've been using pesticides and poisoning the ground they rely on. Most people who use pesticides in their gardens aren't trying to hurt wildlife, they're just trying to get rid of grubs or aphids. But here is what happens downstream. Broad-spectrum insecticides don't just kill the target insects, they persist in the soil for months to years. Because squirrels spend hours of their day physically digging in that exact soil to cache and retrieve their food, they are in constant contact with these chemicals. When you treat your yard with harsh chemicals, you are contaminating the exact ground they depend on to survive. Number 4, your yard is unpredictable, and they are mapping it as a threat. That squirrel sitting on your fence post isn't as bold as it looks. It is running a constant risk calculation. Research shows that intelligent backyard animals can absolutely adapt to a certain baseline level of human activity. They learn your routines. They know when you walk out to get the mail. But unpredictable noise and movement, a door slamming, sudden loud music, or an outdoor cat allowed to patrol the perimeter are a different category entirely. Even a well-fed cat that isn't hunting out of hunger will instinctively stalk wildlife, and it doesn't have to actually make a kill to destroy your yard's reputation. Animals communicate danger through avoidance behavior, creating what researchers call a landscape of fear. Just like crows, squirrels build a reputation map of the individuals and territories in their environment. If your yard behaves erratically or smells like a predator, it is mapped as a threat, and that classification is extraordinarily difficult to reverse. Number 5, you've never thought of yourself as someone they chose. I saved this one for last because it's not a mistake you make with your hands. It's a mistake you make in your mind. Most people who set out food think of themselves as a supplier. They put out the nuts, the squirrel comes, transaction complete. But that's not what's happening. The squirrel that returns to the same yard season after season is making a choice. They have dozens, sometimes hundreds of yards in their territory. They come back to yours. They have assessed the risk, learned your face, mapped your routines, and decided that you are safe. Not your yard, you. And if you stop showing up, if you remove all the natural cover, if the yard gets too loud and unpredictable, that trust erodes. Not dramatically, not all at once, just quietly, visit by visit, until one day the yard is empty. You didn't just lose an animal. You lost a relationship you didn't know you were building. The wildlife that visits your yard looked at everything available to them and chose you. Take care of what they've given you. Fix the hazards in your yard tonight, and the squirrel that visits tomorrow morning will have a better chance than it had today. If any of these hit home, and I know at least one of them did, tell me in the comments which one surprised you the most. And if you've ever had a moment where you realized a squirrel had been coming to your yard for much longer than you thought, share that too. Those moments matter more than most people realize. I'll see you in the next one.